Welcome back to Together with Kaylee, everyone. We are back with another video, and this one is how I transitioned from passion to purpose. And I really didn't know there was much of a difference before, but I'm gonna get into how I discovered that difference and what was once my passion and what is my purpose. The story starts off when I discovered my love for community service. And this happened after I became a volunteer participant at Fresh Youth Initiatives. This is a nonprofit that was formally committed to taking responsibility for things that matter through community service. We did everything from park cleanup and gardening to graffiti removal, mural painting, food pantry distribution, food drives on Thanksgiving. I was a participant at FYI from the 6th grade all the way through high school. So I did a lot of years of community service, and over that time I developed a huge love for serving others and just being in my community and being of service to my community. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was FYI who exposed me to my purpose. So that was how I developed my love for my community. Now, when it comes to my love for journalism, it all began because every time my mom turned on the morning news or the evening news, I always felt like it was starting off with some tragedy, a murder, violence, with just some very heavy and negative news. Because of my experience at FYI, I knew that the news industry wasn't telling the full story about my community. And I was honestly frustrated by the fact that they would repeat the same type of news. I felt like there were so many community organizations, not just FYI, doing things, posting events that would be of service to help people progress and move forward in their goals or through their hardships. And I felt like the news was just completely neglecting that and just telling one specific type of story about my community, and I was not having it. I was living a completely different experience on a day-to-day basis. And so that's how I developed my love for journalism. It came out of the desire to use the platform to share different stories about my community, to highlight the organizations that were doing something about the violence, that were doing something about the troubled youth. I already had a vision of what my professional career would be like. I had a vision that I would be in journalism until my late 20s, and then I would pivot to work in nonprofit work and spend the rest of my old years in fulfillment serving my community. That's what I saw. That's not what happened, but we'll get to that. As soon as I graduated college, I had the opportunity to participate in the New York Times student journalism program. And this was a major opportunity, but it was only 2 weeks long. So it was not a job. The first job I interviewed for out of college was for a national morning news show called CBS This Morning. And I didn't get accepted for that job, but there was someone in the room and she was like, I thought that you would be great for this other job. And so I still got employed, and it was pretty intense. It was 50-hour plus work weeks. It was overnight, so my schedule was from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. The way I had to readjust was pretty ridiculous. Through this job, I got an overdose of news content on politics. I just thought about the fact that the impeachment was happening during that time. My brain. Anyways, the economy, natural disasters, tragedy. There were so many things that we were touching on, but none of it was touching my heart. So I left that job very shortly. I just knew that I was exhausting my energy and my love for an industry that was not fueling me. I was pouring so much into this job, 50 plus hours a week, and I didn't feel much fulfillment. If anything, I felt drained and exhausted, and that was enough reason for me to leave. I got another job in local news, and I felt like this was it. I get to be in local news, and this means they have to care about what the community is going through. This was a place where I actually had the opportunity to pitch stories about the community, pitch stories about nonprofit and actually see them on air. Those are things that were really major for me and important for me, because I felt like I was doing what I came to do. Regardless of this, I ended up having a very abrupt ending to my professional relationship with Pix 11 News. I had to quit my job due to a harassment incident that developed shortly after my baptism. It was an experience that really could have left me frustrated with the company's lack of response. I could have also been disappointed by the fact that I was training to have a different role, and now it was all disappearing because of a harassment incident. And I didn't see it that way at all. Because of the lack of alignment that I felt with this workplace, I was not very disturbed at all by the natural course of life that was guiding me out of that workplace. I had to accept the fact that the journalism industry's values and morals were not aligned with mine. The news industry's priorities are their audience and money. After leaving Pix 11 in the middle of a pandemic, October 2020, I decided I would just volunteer during my free time until I figured out what was next. During the period when I was unemployed, I decided to volunteer at 2 different organizations, one in the Bronx and one in Washington Heights. And they both reminded me a lot of the different things that I got to do with FYI growing up, so it was really special to me. I fell in love with so many different aspects of the organization. I'm talking about NMIC, by the way. When I was volunteering in their food pantry, I loved like the family vibe that I got from everybody. I loved hearing about the many different services that they offer, because every time I would go volunteer, they'll be like, I'm from this team, I'm from this team. I'm like, how many teams do y'all have? How many services do y'all offer? Like, this is insane. And as someone who someday wants to establish her own nonprofit organization, like, that is my dream. Like, if I could offer like 1,000 different services for my community, best believe that I'm gonna do it. One of the volunteers was actually the executive director of the program, and I had no idea for like 3 months. This woman is so hardworking and dedicated and just like radiates such pure energy and love that I just thought she was a regular neighborhood volunteer who loves her community. And then one time she emails me and I see on her signature executive director, and I was like, oh my God, how didn't I ever know this? How didn't it ever click? I have never seen someone in such a high leadership role serve in that capacity with that intention and heart. And that was one of the most lasting impacts on me. After 5 months volunteering with NMIC's food pantry, I transitioned into a full-time job with them. Even though it's only been 8 months of relationship with this organization, I totally see a long future ahead, and I am so excited to continue serving my community. I am literally blocks away from where I was born and raised, and I know that that was God's plan. Previously, I was using journalism as a tool to help people get access to the assistance that they need. Now, I'm the assistance. NMIC is the assistance, and we work together to provide for people in need. And that, even though when I was growing up, I thought that this was what I would have been doing later on in my 30s, I'm so happy I'm not in journalism right now. I am super grateful to be in a role where I get to serve others and feel fulfillment on a daily basis. To some capacity, I will feel fulfillment every single day that I work with NMIC. There's just no way around it. And that is the story of how I transitioned from passion to purpose. I am never going back to the journalism industry, and I am so happy about that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos, and let me know what you're up to. Are you working in purpose right now? Are you working towards your passions? I would love to know. See you next time.